Hey there, everyone. I'm Ashley Bullington, and you are watching The Campfire. It's our summer camp show where we break down districts from around the greater Houston area. Let's get started with the film session as we go into the private school and small school ranks.
In the lower classifications, the best place to start is in 4A Division I and El Campo. The Ricebirds welcome in new head coach Chad Worrell from Brock, who already has a state championship ring on his finger. Worrell inherits a team with high expectations due to their two-headed monster in the backfield of seniors John Trey Davis and junior Ruben Owens. Both ran well over 1,400 yards last year as the Ricebirds went 9-2 before bowing out of the playoffs to Kilgore in the second round. Another D1 team to look out for is Needville, who may have finished 7-6 last year, but the Blue Jays were an impressive 4-1 in district play. In 4A Division II, Houston fans will have their eyes on District 12 4A. Both Sealy and Bellevue had solid seasons and are ready to do the same in 2021. The Tigers were 9-3 and swept through district play while going 3 rounds deep in the postseason. They also returned junior quarterback Devon Himilewski, who was the district MVP as a sophomore. The Brahmas returned their big three in running back Richard Reese, athlete Robert Briggs, and quarterback Jake Lishka, which means look for offensive explosions at Belleville's games. In 3A, East Chambers is going to turn to youth to get them through. Quarterback Jacob Purrow was named captain as a sophomore and promptly became the district newcomer of the year. He'll need help from senior KK Morris to help lead the Buffs on a deep playoff run. East Bernard was shocked last year in the first round of playoffs. The Brahmas didn't score a point and lost 7-0 in double overtime. They did have an 8-1 regular season with Dallas Novicki returning behind center. Expect another big season. Finally, in the private ranks, SPC went without a technical regular season last year and no playoffs, leaving teams scrounging for games to play. This year, with a full slate of games, look for the Speedy Falcons of the Kincaid School and Bel Air Episcopal to battle for state titles. Over in TAPS, St. Thomas has a lot to replace, but if they can make a smooth transition, they could make a deep playoff run.
Some really great teams that we'll be seeing in the private school and the lower classifications for football. They also have some great players that make up this team. And now you get to meet some of them and our players on the rise.
We start things off in El Campo with running back Ruben Owens. Despite splitting carries with John Trey Davis and Charles Shorter, Owens still managed to rush for 1,500 yards and 22 touchdowns for the Ricebirds. And guess what? That was only his sophomore year. Expect even more out of Owens in his junior campaign as he averaged just under 11 yards per carry, which means if he's getting the ball, you're getting first downs. Owens verbally committed to the University of Texas in February, so he'll be all about ballin' come August. At the Kincaid School, Dylan Bell played all over the field on offense. He got snaps at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver for the Falcons, but projects as either a wideout or running back at the next level. So let's just call him an athlete, shall we? Because of his versatility, Bell's numbers don't jump off the page as a receiver, but that's where most of the colleges recruiting him see him playing. With hopefully a full SPC schedule next year, look for big things out of Dylan Bell. Another big-time running back in the lower classifications is Belleville's Richard Reese. As a junior, Reese ran for almost 1,900 yards, including 345 yards and 7 touchdowns against Cameron Yo. Reese has some D1 interest, but more offers should be pouring in over the 2021 season. On the defensive side of the ball, you can't overlook Stafford's Quardrell Pat, an imposing figure at 6'4" and 240 pounds. Pat made all district at defensive end and tight end this past year. Pat gets to the quarterback quick, and when he's there, that quarterback is going down.
Wow, some really amazing talent that we're going to be seeing on these teams. I can't wait for football season to start. I know we just ended basketball season, but August needs to be here already. We have some great leadership on these teams from the players, but they need great coaching to help them reach their ultimate goal of winning championships. And our Inside High School Sports producer, Ward Fasold, caught up with one of the coaches to talk about his team and some of the landscape that you'll be seeing.
All right, I'm joined by Bellevue's head coach, Grady Rowe. Grady, let's talk a little bit about last season before we plug along to this season. Y'all got 10 games in there. You finished 8-2. The 2 losses were very competitive games. Could have gone either way on both of them. How do you think your team fared, and especially in the circumstances you had to deal with the pandemic and everything?
Well, like everybody else, it was a real ordeal to deal with the different protocols and guidelines. But I'll tell you what, our kids did a wonderful job. Our community did a good job. And, I think we learned some things, obviously, from the pandemic and the way we handled some things. But, it was an ordeal. I don't think anybody wants to go through that again. But really proud of our kids and the way they handled the situation. And we got a full season in. We were canceled early in non-district, and then had a forfeit in district play, and we're still able to get that many games in, and a lot of people weren't able to get that many games. So we were fortunate to be able to play that many.
Coach, you talked about losing a couple games due to the pandemic, but your stars there, Briggs and Reese, turned out to have stellar years, even through just the 10 games that you did get to play. Last year the year before you had 13, and Robert, I know Reese had about 2,100 yards, and this past year he had almost 1,800, almost 1,900. Plus he had that miraculous game against Cameron Yo, which I'm sure is in the back of your mind. There were 7 touchdowns, and you're bringing Briggs back. Talk about how dynamic your offense is going to be once again.
Well, we've been predominantly a slot T team for years. And those 2 guys have really forced us to open things up a little more and get in the gun and spread the ball out a little bit more. And we've got a quarterback that's been able to help do that. But, I think that Robert Briggs and Richard Reese they have to be right at the top, if not at the top in 4A of the best duo in the state. You've got Richard Reese, who's the all-time leading rusher in the history of Belleville, and that's just through his junior year. And you've got some legends that, Ernie Coy was the leading rusher. Ernie, of course, went on to the University of Texas and played and was a stud there and went on into the NFL. And he's rushed for more yards in a different era of football than Ernie. So Richard is a dynamic player, a very hard worker. And, then you have Robert Briggs, who's a different type of dynamic player. Just really explosive and great speed, and he's really, really athletic, and we can put him all over the field. And they both can really go, and we're happy that they're both back for sure.
Talk about that about you as a coach. Then you talked about how your style is slot T, and you have 2 guys that it's not going to be as dynamic if you run a slot T. How does it really challenge you as a coach to kind of go away from what you normally do to work around the players you got? And do you like that kind of challenge?
Well, we do. We do like the challenge. We embrace it. Anytime you have 2 athletes like that and you're forced to do some things different to get both of them the ball, and we like to try to get Robert the ball in the open a little bit. Spread them out and kind of pick your poison between the 2, and because we do have some other athletes around them. We've got a quarterback that's been this will be the first time that we've had a 3-year starter at quarterback. Last year was actually the first time we had a 2-year starter, and so just those dynamics within our offense, and then 2 Division I football players in 4A in your offense is it's challenging to spread the ball out and get them the ball, but it's one of those challenges that you like and you just embrace.
Excellent. We talked a lot about your offense for 2021. What's the defense going to be looking like, and what challenges may that bring?
Well, we have some challenges there on defensive side. We've got Robert is our only returner in the secondary. So there's a challenge right there. Just to try to get the back end of our defense up and ready to go. But we believe that our linebackers are going to be very solid. We've got Tyler Fishbeck, who started as a freshman. Then he played last year as a sophomore, and he'll be basically a 3-year starter as a junior. And he's kind of the leader on that defense. We look for him. And then Cole Powell. Cole Powell is a big-time player for us. This will be his senior year, and man, he's a really, really good nose for us. But we'll still have some questions there up front on the defensive line. But we do have Powell to anchor that down, and so there will be some challenges there. We'll have to grow up fast and get ready. But we believe our non-district schedule will really get us ready for district play.
I was going to say that's something that you've done over the last couple of years, is put yourself together a non-district title or non-district schedule that gets you ready for district play and playoff play. Speaking about district play and 12-4A, you got a Sealy team that you need to get past to get that district title, and other challenging teams in there. But what's it going to take for you to get past not only Sealy but the rest of them to get that district crown?
Well, our district will be tough, and Sealy's a big rivalry game, and now we're back in district with them, and that makes the stakes higher because it counts for sure in district play. But Sealy's got the better of us the last several years, and it's always we're so close to each other. It's a big rivalry game, and Coach Mobley and his staff do a great job. But we'll have to hold on to the ball for one and not turn the ball over. They had some breaks last year with some onside kicks, and they were able to get them. And we had some key penalties and things that happened in that game. So we'll have to play a little bit better football than what we have against them. And number one is secure the dadgum football. But district will be. It'll be fun. It'll be a challenging year in our district. But you have to look at Sealy. I mean, you have to consider them number one right now, and go after them. They're the defending district champ. So it'll be interesting.
Well, hopefully this year we start off on time, we play on time, and we get everything done on time. And I know you guys also had the difficulty of playing with heavy hearts, as Zach Hood last year. So I'm wishing you guys the best, and let's hope we get this thing kicked off great.
Absolutely, we're looking forward to hopefully a normal year and getting to play a real full season of football, and appreciate what you guys do and including us in your preview here.
No problem. Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you.
Coach Rowe, thank you so much for joining us here on the Campfire. Awesome job, and we are so excited to see the Brahmas in the coming season with all of their amazing talent. We're going to have Ward Fussell back on, and this time he's going to be breaking down some private school and small school stuff with the district breakdown with Inside High School Sports Insider, Matt Harris.
All right, man, we're joined by our Inside High School Sports Insider, Matt Harris. We're going to talk lower classifications. Hey, Matt, I'm thinking about these running backs that Houston has in 4A with Ruben Owens and Richard Reese at Bellevue. I got to tell you, it's got my mouth watering. I can't wait to see these guys. But besides these guys, who else are you looking at that we should kind of keep an eye on?
Yeah, both of those guys had fantastic seasons last year, but I'm going to move away from the running back position a little bit and look at a quarterback that really caught my eye, and that's Devon Himilewski at Sealy. Now, he threw for over 2,000 yards and ran for over 1,000 more yards and accounted for 40 touchdowns last season. And here's a catch. He was just a sophomore. So you got to think at Sealy, him going into his junior year, he's got a year of varsity experience under his belt. Those numbers could grow even more, and on top of that, Sealy made it farther than any other Houston team in the playoffs last season, making it to round 3. So they return a good receiving core, and while they lose running back Alvin Nunn, Alvin's little brother Avante should fill his shoes nicely to help aid Himilewski and Sealy's state championship pursuit.
Now, you talked about Sealy as a team to watch, and we've already mentioned throughout this whole deal about El Campo. Is there any other teams that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Yeah, so Sealy, again, made it to round 3 last season. El Campo has a fantastic running back in Ruben Owens and a coach now with championship pedigree, bringing in Chad Worrell from Brock, obviously. But let me tell you, other than those two, I'm keeping my eye on Bellevue still. They've got a great duo with Reese and Robert Briggs. But they did lose to Sealy in district play last season and went out, I believe, in the second round. So I'm keeping my eye on Dallas Novicki at quarterback at East Bernard. East Bernard is a school that lost 2 games last season, both by 7 points or less. Now, they were upset in round 1 against Lexington 7-0, but the last 2 seasons before that, they made it all the way to the state semifinals. They lost to Paul Pewitt in 2019 and Newton, who won state, in 2018. Both of those were close games as well. So history would tell you over the last few seasons, if East Bernard's losing a game, it's probably close. They've got a lot of experience in close games, and I think at some point that experience, especially with a returning quarterback, is going to push them over the edge. So I would keep an eye on East Bernard making a potentially a state championship run once again after, again, a little disappointing last season, but 2 seasons before that, they were right there.
Yeah, you're right. Last year was a huge disappointment for the Brahmans. They were, I mean, not only you say 7-0, but that was 7-0 in 2 overtimes. So they had 2 other shots to score and they couldn't do it. So I agree with you on that, man. I just can't wait to get this thing started again. I know we're only in April right now, but just, doing our research on these teams and thinking about what's to come, and we probably have a pandemic-free year. Boy, I'm kind of souped up for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward back to just great atmospheres, 100% attendance. It's going to be great. And it's crazy. Basketball season ended like 2 weeks ago, but here we are already previewing football season. And I know me and you are both very excited to be doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We'll dive into 5A and 6A throughout the rest of the weeks of the off season here. I appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Ward, Matt, thank you so much for all of that great insight. Thank you for joining me here on the Campfire. It is so much fun to have my Inside High School Sports family on with me, as I'm not doing this all by myself. I love it. But you can watch the Campfire every Monday on our social media accounts right here. You can watch it on any of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, where you can see all of the info that's coming in on these 5 and 6A districts in the next coming weeks. We'll be breaking them all down and giving you great content throughout the entire week. I'm Ashley Bullington, and thank you so much for watching the Campfire. I'll see you next Monday.